So tonight, I kick off the show by asking my panel, do you know why Warlord drives a convertible?
Oh, man, I don't know.
I'm not even going to guess.
Because he's roofless.
Ah.
Welcome to the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. You found Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Happy Sunday to you. It's fantastic to have you here with a special guest tonight. We'll start by working the regular panel too. Signature King Tony Fett, how are you?
I'm great. Now that we got a little bit of snow.
Oh, we've had plenty of snow, so I was more than happy to share that with you.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You want it?
I'll take it. You guys are throwing it out. Give it
I'd be more than happy to donate. I can AOK or /AOR you as much as you need. So good to have you back on the show, Tony. Okay, our next regular panelist, I have to give such a special welcome to because I'm beyond excited that he didn't find an excuse not to come on the show tonight, despite the fact that he has one. He has a huge one. I knew he would be in a fantastic mood tonight, and he is. Let's say hello to Comic Food 2814. How are you?
I think I'm okay.
Oh, I'm sure you're doing okay.
What was my excuse?
Are you really going to play that with me? Are you really going to play that with everyone? Play humble like you are? Like you don't know? Like we don't know that you don't know?
I'm getting set up here.
January 20th. Okay, go ahead and Google this if you don't believe me. January 21st, that's today, right?
Yes.
National Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Is it too late to back out of this thing?
I think I hear your mother calling.
So if you have not appreciated a squirrel yet today, you have until midnight.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes. And our special guest, our very first guest of 2024 is a returning guest, and she probably doesn't want to talk about squirrels. She wants to talk about lions.
I want to talk about lions. Go lions for the roar.
It's silver-haired Bronze Age babe. Welcome back to the show, and thanks for coming back.
Thank you. I love hanging out with fanboys. I am delighted to be here and thrilled because it is a happy day for me. This born and raised Michigander is thrilled that the Detroit Lions just won their second playoff game. They're one game away from the Super Bowl. Think happy thoughts next week. Thank you.
That's right. I'm glad I don't have you on next week, just in case things don't go right. I mean, we won't even throw that out there. Yeah, no. We won't even throw that out there. Right. But you know, the last time you were on our show was, I think, back in the fall, and you had not started doing shorts on YouTube.
I had not.
Since then, you have started, and your channel has just blown up.
Yeah, I remember talking with you guys. They're like, "What's a short? How short does a short have to be?"
Yeah, and we're like, you should try this.
You should.
And then she does, and then she absolutely explodes.
she has higher subscribers than Tony and I.
Dude, she went blowing past us like no.
Yeah, she just blows past us like there's no tomorrow, and the rest of us are in the dust going.
I taught her how.
Yeah. I mean, she's not at 14,000 yet, but I mean, soon, you know.
Yeah, maybe we'll crack that. I think I'm 800 and something. So
that's awesome.
Well, you went from
went from like 423 to like you doubled it.
I will tell you what. There are two things that bumped up my subscriber base, and everyone can take a hint from this. The first thing was actually starting to do shorts. And which I have turned into kind of comic book jukebox. So I take a comic book cover and I find really songs from my playlist as an old lady that is kind of, I think is fun. But the real killer app was I actually went to a comic book show in April or May. And I made a little video about it and I titled it, I went to a comic book show.
No false
And-
advertising there.
And no, and apparently you send a little old lady like me to a comic book show and people want to click on it and see what happens. So that was where I saw, I mean, it was incredible. So it makes me think sometime this spring I should probably head back to a comic book show and make a video about it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's great to have you back on too. And
Thank you.
I'll talk in a little bit when we get more towards the retro review portion about your specific function in today's show. And you were recruited for this show for a specific function. So we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
But right now, what's this? It's like the show has just started all over again. Someone is a bad influence on John's Comics with Kids, but we're happy that he's here. Uh-oh.
Oh, the Jackson Roy Kirk.
Yeah, meow.
How's it going?
I love you. I do. I love him.
See? Top billing. She
And he
gets the
loves
top
me
billing
back.
right there. Yep.
Yay.
Yep, exactly. Yes, show's off to an amazing start. The power of shorts, or the power of what's in your shorts.
It didn't
The
get
Sniper
well.
Who, it has been a while. I hope that you've survived our snowocalypse. Sniper Who is in the same town as I am. So great to see you stopping by again. We have Seeking Superman here. Good evening to you. Always great to
How's
have
it
you
going?
stopping by. Yes,
Oh,
you do a good
thank
job
you.
in your musical selection.
Thank you.
Jumping back to Seeking Superman, yesterday he picked up an amazing Bronze Age Wonder Woman comic book with Cheetah for $1.
Wow.
Can't beat
That's a
that.
value.
Yeah, that is. So, and it has a good story too. So awesome. Thank you guys for stopping in tonight for the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube. Tony, what's going on news-wise? I know a few comic book things, but what you got going on?
Oh man, so some good news and some bad news. I don't know where to start. So I'm gonna start with the good news. As a Suicide Squad fan, it looks like in the new James Gunn verse, what we're gonna call it, looks like Suicide Squad is definitely going to continue, not necessarily in an animated verse, but possibly live action or HBO Max live action series, which would be, I think that'd be best if they did a live action series on it, because then they could really dive deep into some stories and mix up the cast a lot. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And he already did confirm that Amanda Waller was continuing to be Amanda Waller, so it only makes sense that those things are coming together. James Gunn also went on the rumor denying spree on Twitter, so there was several casting rumors for Batman, including Ryan Gosling, which he quickly said, absolutely not. Ryan Gosling is not Bruce Wayne. There was a while there, he was crossing out actor after actor, but he kept skipping over Jensen Ackles. I think that's how you say his
Jensen
name.
Ackles, yeah. He
He plays Soldier Boy in The Boys.
mm-hmm.
He kept
Oh,
not denying it. He would skip over him. And well,
Mhm.
finally today, he nixed him
Okay.
off the board. So he is not Batman. And James Gunn did confirm that you will see Batman, whoever plays him, in the Brave and Bold, but Bruce Wayne could probably appear somewhere else. Considering there's only two things ahead of the Brave and the Bold, that's the new Superman movie or Creature Commandos. Who knows? So it doesn't leave a whole lot to the imagination. Those are the big ones. The rest are all just comic book related news and praising Aquaman for how great it was, because it did way better than I guess it was supposed to do. So that's a shame that we won't get another one of those.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet, Tony?
I have not. I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait till it hits Max.
Have you seen it, Sarah?
No, I'm
Okay.
with Tony. I wait to see these things when they're on the TV or the computer screen. I just can't force myself to pay all that money
Yeah, I understand.
to go out to the movie theater for that. So, I mean, I wish I liked them more. I really do. It kind of breaks my heart, but I
Yeah.
don't.
Hello also to Nashad. Nash, it's been a while. Happy New Year to you, my friend. I'm glad that you're in the house with us, hanging with us. That's awesome. So, Tony, when it comes into some of the comic book news, a few things that I saw, the April solicitations for DC Comics are out now. A few interesting things in there. For fans of the Sandman, issue 19 was, of course, a classic Sandman comic book, A Midsummer Night's Dream. And DC is going to remaster this, which I think is interesting. And they have the original colorist working on the remastering of it. And they're going to reissue that remastered with a new painted cover by Charles Vess coming out in April. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We're also getting a few other facsimiles. How does the panel feel about facsimiles? What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It honestly depends.
Okay.
Because not that I'm looking for them to be super high dollar or high value, but like, it's not the same. Like, I have a facsimile of Shazam or Captain Marvel #1. It's never going to be worth that much money.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool. It's cool to ever get to actually owning one, but I'm not a facsimile kind of guy.
And Fu, your thoughts?
I liked them when they first started coming out, and then they just like never stopped, and they came out at such a pace. I was like, oh, and it kind of lost my interest. So if they did like one a quarter or something, maybe, but it just seemed like they were just pumping them out, so I stopped.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And Sarah, your thoughts?
I'm a fan. I like them because I like to have a nice reader copy that I mean, anyone who watches my show, my channel knows that I destroy my books, and so I don't even know why I say it, but I like having them. I really do, and I've read like the newer books that they have put out, and I stopped buying comics in 1979, so when they're doing facsimiles of stuff that's after that, it's all new to me.
Okay.
So I like it, and I have a comic book room in my basement, and I keep the facsimiles out of the plastic bags, and they're like, so you can actually grab them, and visitors to my home have grabbed them. The point is, here, read a comic book, read a really good
enjoy.
one.
Yeah,
really like it. So I like them.
So does the panel's opinion of a facsimile change if I say Green Lantern's getting one in April?
No.
Well, yeah, he should have as many as he can get.
He should have 3 by now.
So Showcase 22 is coming out as a facsimile in April.
Fun!
Nice.
Fu, do you want to educate those who might not know what Showcase 22 is?
I forget.
But question for Fu. I know his lifelong Green Lantern goals, but does a facsimile of this kind, does that interest you at all?
Yeah, because I'll probably get a few of them,
Okay.
like one to put on the wall or something like that, one to just put in the box, and yeah.
Sure. That's true, because then you could display it, without actually displaying the real one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, mine sits in a dark box, never to be seen.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that will be dropping the last new comic book day in April.
Cool.
Showcase 22, first Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Nice.
And the week before that, Brave and the Bold 54 comes out as a facsimile. Do you guys know why that is a key?
Isn't it first Damian Wayne?
Not offhand.
Nope.
No? Okay, I have no idea.
No. Brave and the Bold 54 is Robin, Kid Flash, and Aqualad, but they're not called the Teen Titans.
Yeah. I've got that.
So that will be coming out as a facsimile.
That's with the big pink monster on the front, right?
Yeah. That will be coming out the week before the last new comic book in April. I like the facsimiles myself. So.
The ones that came out, they did a couple of the Doom Patrol last year, and the one I love the original Doom Patrol, and I have a collection of them, and the one I don't have is the pricey one featuring the introduction of Beast Boy, and so I was thrilled when they made a facsimile of that, because I have never read it. So I kind of, where I can, I stick them into my collection, so where it belongs in the run. So at least, the stories are complete, which is cool.
Yeah.
I had heard that I'm very excited, and my comic book store, it took them a while to figure out how they could order this or to find it, but they're coming out with a facsimile of the Batman Ra's al Ghul Treasury Edition.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Wow.
And it's going to be in
mean,
treasury size.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I
Neil,
am pumped for that.
Neil Adams fans rejoice because it is going to be big and beautiful, and I actually would love that because I do have an original, but it's encased in Mylar, and I, as you know, I tend to ruin comic books, so it's like I'd rather have a facsimile that I can paw through at my leisure rather than have to watch myself and
Sure.
do
So
all that.
speaking of Neil Adams, there is this Neil Adams artist edition coming out. You're familiar with this, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen? First of all, do you know there's going to be 2 different covers for it?
There might even be 3.
Really?
Because, I think the Neil Adams folks, his family at Continuity Studios, I think they said they're getting their own.
Oh, really? Interesting.
You could buy another copy that has a special cover on it too. So, yeah. So, I saw that on is it 13th Dimension or something?
Yeah, that's exactly where I saw it. So that's the main A cover essentially.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And then, these have a price point of I think 150 MSR, but it's essentially like you're getting photocopies of the original pages of artwork.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been watching, the Neil Adams folks, and his daughter Chris, who is working with the publishers on that, has talked about over the last few months about trying to get a hold of high quality scans of this art and who has the original art and how can they get the scans of them. I think it's going to be a really wonderful collection of it. I cannot wait to get my mitts on it. I didn't realize until today it was going to be $150 book. So we'll see which cover I like best.
So now that I got Shabab's tail to wagon, I'll see if I can get the rest of the fanboys tail to wagon, because here's the B cover.
Oh, nice.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Very nice.
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not $150 cool.
Yeah, it's a little steep.
It is, but it's pretty nice. So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Tony, any other news that's going on?
No, that about wraps it up for the news department. Live from Electric Band-Aid.
Yeah. I didn't want to ignore Sniper Who's question, did Wonder Woman foil ever get released? Yes, many times over. So,
well, what foil is he talking about? A logo
I don't
foil?
know, but there has been Wonder Woman Perez facsimile foil. There's been Wonder Woman Golden Age #1 foil. There's been Wonder Woman on other titles foil. We have been foiled. So
I like foil.
Jackson Roy Kirk says some of the art. Yeah, I think the Neil Adams.
And Tony and I were successful in getting you that logo foil that you were so interested in.
You're welcome.
You didn't get me you didn't get me the $500 one.
You didn't specify you wanted the $500 one.
We made sure it got created, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't said thank you yet, not to me.
Hey, Happy New Year to Man Cave Comics who's stopping by. Great to see you.
Man Cave, hello.
Hello. Yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of foils out there. So awesome. So as we start to segue, if you wouldn't mind getting the assist ready. So first issue special is kind of what we're doing tonight. Tony, you picked this. Tell us why you decided on first issue special.
Mostly because I was in my comic shop and I saw one first issue special for Dr. Fate, and I thumbed through it and I was like, well, this isn't first issue of no run that I know of for Dr. Fate. And then I kept looking. I was like, oh, there's like a whole bunch of them. I was like, oh, okay, it's like a one shot for all these characters kind of just grouped together. And I'm a huge fan of cramming as many different characters as we can on the show in one night as possible. So I figure, why not? We can read, 4 out of the 12 issues in this run tonight. And what's cool is they're all independent, small little bubble stories. So it's I like that. I really do.
It was my understanding that Carmine Infantino is the one who created this. And he noticed way back in 1974 that first issue sold better than the subsequent issues. So he wanted to have a series that was all first issues, and they thought he was joking, and he wasn't. So this is how this essentially came about. And I will tell you, the 4 that we're representing tonight are very unique from one another. And we're starting out with probably the wackiest one. So, Fu, take it away.
This one gets wacky.
Metamorpho. All right.
Yeah, so we got first issue special number 3. What you're going to find fun about this one is it reads very much kind of like a Silver Age, but this is 1975. So we've got Metamorpho, the Element Man, the Fabulous Freak returns. So we've got this kind of phantom villain on the cover. There, you can see they're in DC, and he's holding this girl in his arms. So we'll go past the Hostess pie ads, which have to be there in every issue, and we've got Metamorpho, the Element Man. So Metamorpho, Rex, what's his last name? Is it Wagner? No, I don't know, but his name's Rex. Rex Mason. Thank you, Mason.
Rex Mason.
And he is at the Lincoln Memorial with his girlfriend, as you can see here. And we've got this kind of like shadowy specter kind of like watching from the side. So this is part 1, The Freak and the $1 Billion Phantom. And as you can see, Rex is saying to her, like, she's all impressed. It's so historical. And he says, we could use a guy like him nowadays. And the language in this episode is just, it's so funny. I'll try to point it out where I can. But so Rex leans over for a kiss. He says, anyway, before we both become ancient history, how's about a little monumental making out, huh? And she says, Rex, not in front of Mr. Lincoln. Why, I can almost hear him objecting. And but it's actually what they're hearing is some sounds from behind, and we've got this kind of specter there zapping the security guard's gun. And Rex says he turned that guard's gun to hot jello. So Rex here, of course, he is Metamorpho in disguise, and he goes barreling in to take this specter on. But you can see his girlfriend here has noticed that something has happened to his shadow. And if you look on the wall behind him, you can see it's kind of the shadow of a cat. And then as Rex goes jumping in, we get the cat kind of running away. And this ghost is gone. So they go running back, and it turns out that his girlfriend's father, I guess, is some kind of rich millionaire or something, right? And they're waiting out there with the chauffeur here. And
did you just say the chauffeur?
The chauffeur, yes.
Oh my God.
And he says the character must have escaped from a funny farm, but his sword cane's dangerous. You and Harry Brains keep watch here. Come on, Saf. And the chauffeur is like, somehow I shall have my revenge on him and take Sapphire for mine. So this guy, I don't know why he kind of looks like a monkey or something, but yeah, he's got a crush on the girlfriend there. And you can see out on the National Mall, we've got protesters, right? So this is 75. We would have had what? The Vietnam War, right? And so they were out there protesting, and this fiery hole opens up in the ground, giving just enough time for Rex to take off his disguise and show his true self as Metamorpho. And so we get kind of a science lesson throughout this book. He converts his molecules into a combination of water, sodium, and carbon, which is basically fire foam to smother the flames. Then he turns himself into magnesium to create a net that hauls these kids back onto terra firma. Now, the hole is still in the ground, but meanwhile, his girlfriend's already noticed the next danger upon them. The Washington Monument is starting to tilting for a fall, as he says. We'll jump through some ads here. And sure enough, it's that ghost again. He's performing some kind of magic again. And his girlfriend's like, Rex, that awful man with a scary face is doing it. No time to hassle him, doll. Gotta convert to a toppler stopler. And as you can see, he converts his body into these magnesium scoop arms with an iron bulldozer. And he begins to move the dirt in front of the Washington Monument to protect it from falling over. And he stopped it just in time. So she's all happy with him. The father's kind of like, hey, what's happening? And he notices that something is happening over at the Capitol building. So Metamorpho turns into a unicycle and goes riding over there as these three chase after him. And he gets there, and again, it's this ghost. He's causing the top of the dome to wobble like a top. So Metamorpho turns to hydrogen gas this time, and to rise up, and then he is hit by this electricity and the electrical energy from the heavens, monsieur, as your own Dr. Benjamin Franklin taught the world long ago. I was his pupil then when I was alive. So we get the sense that this ghost is very old, and I guess he was Ben Franklin's pupil. So this electricity is having an effect on Metamorpho, but he powers on through it and hits the top of the dome with a kick. And I'm trying to see what chemical he turned into. It doesn't say. Yeah, it doesn't say, but he hit it, and he remembered that the dome is made of cast iron. So once he hit it, it was able to fall back down. And as you can see here, this bird goes flying away, and that's our Spectre again. So he tries to pick up his trail, and as he goes hopping off on these giant springs, and we turn over to the TV, and this is kind of interesting. Tourists at the Lincoln Memorial were started by the ghost who has now and then popped up throughout our nation's history to frighten people. The Phantom first appeared to President Lincoln when the Civil War began. Again, he visited President Woodrow Wilson when America was drawn into World War I. And last was seen by President Franklin Roosevelt the morning of Pearl Harbor as the United States plunged into World War II. The Phantom is just a hallucination, say government authorities. There is no cause for alarm. But of course, Metamorpho knows otherwise. He's like, who are they kidding? This bozo's a deadly menace. And so Saf's father here says, did it occur to you, Rex, that together we could control them, these powers that he's got? And of course, Metamorpho doesn't want anything to do with that. So he goes, he says, no way, you power mad creep. Let's roll, Saf. We've got places to visit, things to do. So I guess they're back on their Washington, D.C. Vacation now, now that all the commotion's over. But her dad tells the chauffeur Java to go ahead and follow them. And he says, yeah, being near Sapphire while tripping up that ugly freak will be a double pleasure. So they go off to the museum, and Metamorpho ends up going through an old library. And of course, his girlfriend's getting bored. She says it's just dull. You can see, was it Java, I think his name was? He's spying on them in there. And Metamorpho's going through these stories. and he finds out that that in 1814, Dr. Destiny was the original name for this ghost that we've got, and he was still alive back then, back during the War of 1812. And the British were advancing on Washington, D.C., and as we know, they burned down, I think, the White House, right? And he was a military engineer previously under Napoleon. Okay. And while he was in Egypt in Napoleon's army, he found this magical device, I guess, right? And so he was trying to convince, I think it was James Madison was president at the time, that he could use this weapon to stop the British from approaching. And but Madison's like, no time for that. We've got to leave here at once. And then he tells this assistant here, get rid of this crackpot. So let's see. The British burned Washington, and Doc Destiny vanished, but he doesn't know why his ghost has come back to haunt the country's president each time Uncle Sam got in a war. He's been offering the same help, and the various presidents each time reject him, figuring they're having a bad dream or a hallucination. And now Doc Destiny's mad, and hell hath no fury, like a spook spurned.
Say that 3 times fast.
So the spoiled playgirl and her freakish lover find themselves suddenly in the midst of an excited crowd. And it's a motorcade, and it's the president's motorcade. Just then, Metamorpho notices the shadow again. You can see it kind of looks like a cobra snake. And they realize that he's after the president. So Metamorpho turns into a snake himself, made of cobalt, the cobalt cobra, and stops the attack. And you can see then the Doc Destiny there converts back into a snake and goes crawling off behind a tree. But this time, Metamorpho realizes that he's been changing into animal forms, and he turns himself into invisible nitrogen gas in order to follow the ghost. So he follows him down into the sewers, and he finds that he's recharging his staff on some kind of device here, and he notices an odd painting on the wall. But he can't find that chemical warfare gizmo anywhere. He looks at the photo some more, and he realizes it's an old photo of the Capitol building under construction, and the top where the dome would go has been circled, and he deduces that is where the magical device is hidden, at the top of the Capitol dome, and that's why that was his last attack on the dome. So while Metamorpho was looking at the painting, though, of course, the ghost snuck away. And so then he picks up his girlfriend, and they go off, headed towards the Capitol to try to find this device before the ghost gets there. And he speeds away in a carbon dioxide jet reaction. So this little, like, vehicle he created. At the same time, Java was spying on them and following them around, and he heard that the device is in the Capitol dome and tells Saf's father. So they decide that they need to get there first, but they know they're behind, so they have to basically somehow stall Metamorpho. And they do so by calling in a threat to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and these military guys call over Metamorpho to help. They get there and they realize nothing's going on. It was a false report, but now they've been slowed down, of course. So he finally makes it to the Capitol. The ghost is already there, but lo and behold, one of the stones has been removed already, and somebody beat them there to the device. I wonder who that could have been. So very quickly, Metamorpho and Saf realized that Java was following them everywhere they went, and they must have been the ones to steal the device first. So, and what's great is, as Metamorpho is figuring this out, he's like, Stagg, he must have got the gizmo. And his girlfriend's like, Gizmo Pismo, I wish you'd pay. I wish you'd go ape and pay attention to me more often and stop chasing all over. I came to Washington for fun and games, not this. So, it doesn't matter that he's been saving Washington's monument from all of these disasters. She's just upset she's not having fun. So he says, "You'll get your fun and games later, babe. Right now, I got to dial the airport, like, quick."
Oh my God.
So bad. So moments later, Stagg's private jet takes off. He's going after the deadly Gizmo, and she is still very upset. Look at her eyes in this one. "Oh, fudge. Daddykins left without giving me my allowance again, and I'm down to my last 1,000. So, yeah. And so Metamorpho says, "That's it, sweetie. One thing your old man loves most, money." And that's where, and where's the most? Right, we're going there. So I guess he figures out, since he likes money, he must be headed over to Kentucky for Fort Knox to find the nation's gold reserves. So they use the device. I think they're using the device here to convince the guard, either that or somehow they got the president to sign this thing that's allowing them in. It wasn't really clear. But they get in, they see all the gold, right? And they're amazed by it. And of course, what happens? But Java drops this device and it starts melting the gold. And so within moments, they've got this gold tidal wave coming after them. It's turned all the bullion into soup. So they barely make it out of the building by Metamorpho converting himself into a jet. He's still got his girlfriend riding on his back, and he picks these two hooligans up and carries them off to safety. Just then, so now they've got this lake of gold, right? And Metamorpho's got to get in there because the device is somewhere buried within it. But the ghost shows up as well, and he recalls when we're going back to his history again, when the British were coming. He threatened to burn everything. "I will unleash my weapon and stop the barbarians." He goes to push one of the British soldiers aside, but he's stabbed by a bayonet, and he knows that he's about to die. But he takes one last moment to hide this device at the top of the Capitol building. I don't know how he got up there with a stab wound. But and he threatens to haunt this ungrateful city for eternity, because they didn't take him up on his plans to defeat the British with this device early on, and now he's dying. So that's his motivation. It's ridiculous.
No.
So he explains all of this to Metamorpho and the crew here. And he's going to have his revenge once and for all. So he descends into the lake of gold just as Metamorpho chases in after him. And you can see they both get engulfed in this liquid gold. Java is the happiest of all. I mean, look at his face over here. He's just so happy because he knows that Metamorpho's done. And now he's going to swoop in and quench Sapphire's grief with his waiting embrace. He's got big plans. So just then, it looks like the ghost has come jumping out of the gold, but no, look, in the middle, it's Metamorpho. And here he remembers that oxygen is highly explosive. So before the gold fully cooled off, he converted into oxygen, which caused this explosion, allowing him to rise up out of the gold and escape, basically. The device is gone. It, I guess, melted at the bottom of the gold pit. And the ghost is nowhere to be found as well. And then we get the very end, the wrap up. Saf finally gets her fun and games in Washington, D.C., as she had been wanting all along, and Metamorpho converts himself into Abe Lincoln himself and gives her a guided tour around the city. The end. And it ends actually with Metamorpho saying, "Metamaniacs, the merely marvelous Element Man will return again if you want me to. Let us know. And as far as I know, I don't think he got another series until what, like the mid 80s or so. So
Yeah, something like that.
Let me just throw this out there. What the hell was that?
no idea. I had not read this one before. I read it this morning and I'm like, what? Like, and I that's why I said, I'm like, oh, I guess this was Silver Age. I didn't realize it was that early. And I go and I check the top, and no, it's 1975.
There is 15 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag in this story.
And I glossed over a lot of it to keep us moving here because I know we got 3 other stories to go, but the language that was used in here was just so over the top. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
I will tell you one thing that I loved. Ramona Fradon artwork.
Yeah, the art was great. It was a lot of fun.
Did she do that?
She did this issue.
Oh,
this is Ramona Fradon.
sweet. Yeah.
So, and for those, we didn't mention this last week when we were on the show, but Ramona Fradon had announced her retirement last
Ramona
month
Fradon.
at the age of 97.
Wow.
She announced her retirement. So I think it's pretty well deserved, but she still was doing commissions for people. Someone at my LCS he has a few from her and just got another one like this past fall.
Cool.
And oh my gosh, she's amazing and just keep kicking away. You know, I love me some Ramona Fradon. What about you guys?
This is very reminiscent of, the over the top, hey, Sapphire baby, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Was the, was how they wrote that character, that stuff back when they introduced Metamorpho in the early 60s. So, guess a tip of the hat to maintaining the look and feel of the original Metamorpho for people in 1975 who have no idea what he was. But
right.
God, it was this like 100-page giant story.
I know it.
No.
Every twist and turn that you could imagine. Tony, what did you think of this?
It was different.
That's the nicest way of saying it sucked.
Good. Yeah.
It didn't suck. A lot of people don't understand. If you are not familiar with Metamorpho, this is pretty run of the middle of the road Metamorpho. He's pretty wacky dude. So
Yeah.
I expected this, not knowing that who had picked a Metamorpho book, but when he was talking to us earlier and said, hey, it's a pretty wacky book, be on the lookout, makes sense now.
Yep. Yeah. I like what Super Russ said. And hello to Super Russ. He joined us during the Retro Review. That was an acid trip. So it was. Thank you, Russ, for joining us. Appreciate you so much. And our friend Poor Mike is here. So hello to you. And thanks for stopping in as well.
Hey, Mike.
So as we move on to our next story, this is kind of where our special guest comes in. So my friend Andre in Brazil recently asked me about Lady Cop. He had never heard of Lady Cop.
Oh.
And Fu, would you be able to do the assist on 4 for us?
On 4, yes.
Yeah. And so we were talking about that because they never published this issue over in Brazil. And
too bad.
hello to Kenneth Bird. Hey Kenneth, thanks for stopping in. Sending prayers for you, like I said before. So, and then when we decided, that first issue special was going to be on tonight, I'm like, well, Lady Cop has to be one of them. And then I instantly thought,
pick me.
Yes, exactly. Because Silverhair Bronze Age Babe has done a video talking about Lady Cop.
I can't stop talking about Lady Cop.
And you guys here on the panel and you guys in the chat, you are in for something with this story.
It's something, all right. Are we going to start, Lady Cop?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start? The only last thing I want to say is this was around the era that Angie Dickinson was starring in a TV show called Policewoman.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit TV show. And I think that had a little something to do with this. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Lady cop policewoman.
yeah, it's all this. And while she's blonde like Angie Dickinson.
Oh,
was.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and speaking of, look who's here. We're dedicating this one to you.
Here you go, Andre. Here's
Hey,
what
Andre.
you're missing. Here's what you're missing. Okay, so Lady Cop starts with a bang, so to speak. We meet Lady Cop underneath, hiding under a bed, watching her two roommates get murdered. And the only thing she can see is a distinctive pair of cowboy boots and him saying, after the first one, chick, the rest comes easy, because he likes to kill women. And he drops his little card, plenty of cards left in my deck to deal with the chicks I'm going to meet, all aces of spades. So, okay. The next we see that Lady Cop is being interviewed by the police, and the policeman's like, if you would just get over the shock and tell us what we need to know, we could go and solve this murder faster. So I'm clearly not getting anywhere with you. Hey, other policewoman, would you please talk to this woman? And so the police lady says, oh gosh, darling, the only way to get rid of a nightmare is to face it. And the future Lady Cop says, how can I ever forget? I hid under the bed and while my roommates were being murdered, but I remembered those Western boots, those white boots, black skull, crossbones dangling, blah, blah, blah. And the policewoman's like, my God, you're so gifted. You have a camera eye. You're a born policewoman. You know what? You should go to the police academy. And so future Lady Cop goes to bed and she's like, oh, I'll never sleep easy until I find that killer, while she's dreaming of those boots. So the next panel, she's at the police academy, because that's what you do. And the police officer is teaching them to, yes, you have a gun, but you use it as a method of arresting, not punishing. And he always says, and always remember, a clear conscience is the softest pillow. Okay. Lady Cop then is pretty good at using a gun, but she's even better at the martial arts. Karate. She has karate. She has judo kicks. She's very effective at it. And she can also take a test, apparently, by that panel there where she can put your name at the top. At the graduation ceremony, she graduates with honors with her class, but it is interrupted by a man running in with a grenade. And he has a grenade because he got kicked out of the police academy and he wants to disrupt the the graduation ceremony, but Lady Cop isn't having any of that. She jumps up, grabs, judo chops the bad guy, catches the grenade. It's like, oh my God, it's live. What to do with it? Oh, hey, here's a trash can. I'll put it in the trash can, dive for cover, and kaboom. And she is helped up by the chief of police, who says, welcome to the force. Well done, Officer Warner. And then you turn the page and you realize that that's just a prequel. That's just the backstory of Lady Cop. The real heart of the matter is this story called Poisoned Love. And Lady Cop is atop a rooftop in the city where she's trying to interrupt a sexual assault that is going on. Apparently, people heard the woman screaming and called the police, and Lady Cop showed up, said, hey, let that girl go. You're not in the jungle, And she gets in between them and she's telling the girl, now just go downstairs, wait for me. And the guy's like, that chick ain't going anywhere. I give orders on this turf. And Lady Cop sternly says, now just cool it, because she's underage. It's like, okay, just remember all of this stuff. The underage part is sadly kind of important. And then the bad guy is joined by one of his compatriots, another bad guy, who grabs Lady Cop and makes it easier for first bad guy to try and sexually assault her. If you move on the page, you'll see, oh, pucker up, baby. Okay. And he is encouraged by his friend,
Wow.
go, man, go. Okay. But Lady Cop is having none of that. My temperature's below freezing. And she gives him a swift kick to where it hurts because she studied judo, as we remember. And she says, I don't dig gorillas either. And she gives an elbow to the chin of the other guy. And voila, Lady Cop has solved the problem and readjusts her little hat on her little head and says, haven't you heard the Stone Age is over? The dinosaurs are extinct. You can't club women over the head and drag them away by their hair. But a few characters would be happier in a cage. So those guys get arrested. And she's like, well, I got to carry on with my route. And so she's back on the street and she's like, I wonder what happened with that girl who he was trying to assault. But before she can find that girl, yeah, I should be getting combat pay, but you won't. In fact, you probably won't even get equal pay, but that's a different story. While she's on the street, she sees a poor black child who can't afford ice cream. And Lady Cop is like, you know what? That's just wrong. And so she buys the little naif a double scoop of chocolate with all the trimmings. And the ice cream guy's like, sure thing, Lady Cop. So she is now dubbed officially Lady Cop. But the kid is happy, and Lady Cop just feels really good about life and herself in general. But that is interrupted by a woman saying, that hombre you arrested, señorita, muy malo ciudadano. So apparently Lady Cop is also fluent in Spanish, says, yes, I understand. He's very dangerous. We turn the page to find that Lady Cop is being stalked by another threatening-looking man carrying a chain. And she's like, well, I don't have to worry about those rooftop Romeos. They're on their way to jail. But then she sees the underage girl in a phone booth there. And she says, but Eddie, you said we'd be married. You said we'd take me away from this neighborhood. Why don't you love me anymore? What? And then the girl says, you just found out you have VD? Then, well, I must have it too. What'll I do? My father will kill me. And then Lady Cop overhears that. The girl runs away, and Lady Cop is like, wait, don't run away. Let me help you. And Lady Cop, loses her immediately, says, that's the second bad scene that poor kid's had today, and I still don't even know her name. She's desperate. I've got to catch her. While she's chasing after the girl, she is interrupted by a robbery at a grocery store. Man who had a knife stabbed the grocery store owner. Lady Cop is like, oh, hey, drop that knife. The guy's like, no way. 6 inches inside your gut. And so, but Lady Cop, as you'll recall, is handy with her fist. And so she uses judo and another elbow to the Adam's apple, and down he goes. Now, in the meantime, the grocery store owner has stopped breathing. There you go. Yeah, there he stopped breathing. And so she tries a little mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Breathe, breathe. Please don't let me lose him. And I don't know about you, but that looks like an awfully intimate way to provide mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I always thought you had to plug a nose. But, hey, gently cradle his head in your hands. You will aid in the recovery process. Please, the ambulance comes. Lady Cop saves the grocery store owner. The robber is sent off to jail, and Lady Cop's very long day seemingly finally comes to an end. But she still can't find that runaway girl with the VD. But tomorrow's another day. So she leaves the station, and one of the cops says, well, here's where the cop becomes a lady, because her boyfriend picks her up. And he says, I'll drive you home so you can get out of that uniform. Let's go to the beach. So one wonders the
But
time.
he's just resuscitating her there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to
Same
say.
thing.
Just going to say, there's more mouth-to-mouth resuscitation that has to happen here. So they toddle off to the beach, where the boyfriend starts whining about how he's just he's tired of having his friends tease him because he has a girlfriend who's a cop. And she's like, but Hal, I'm doing useful work for the first time in my life. I'd rather pound the beat than pound a typewriter. And he says, I can't marry a working man. I mean, woman. I was like, okay, I can't live with someone on duty 24 hours a day. And so Lady Cop is like, all right, I'm going to shut him up. I'm going to give him some mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. But Lady Cop is thinking, I can't stop thinking about finding the killer of my roommates 24 hours a day. Even now, I'm thinking about it's like, aren't you also worried about the girl with VD?
I was just going to say, thinking about VD while she's kissing her boyfriend. A recipe for disaster.
What could go wrong, right? So the next panel, after 3 days of vainly searching for the panicky VD girl, there she is at the edge of the pier. It's not the end of the world, she says to the girl. It's like, oh, it is for me. It's, my boyfriend has it. I probably have it. And this is where the public service message, in fact, I think the entire point of this comic book comes into play. Lady Cop announces, VD's deceptive. Girls may not have symptoms, but it's a secret destroyer poisoning you like an underground river. It can cause blindness, insanity, and death. And if it's not arrested in time, get it? Lady Cop arresting. Yeah. What should I do? Says a little underage VD girl. And Lady Cop says, well, you have to go to your family doctor immediately, or the Board of Health VD stations. They'll give you tests to see if you have it. They can cure you with antibiotics. But the girl says, oh, and then Lady Cop says, your parents will stand by you. Have you told them yet? It's like, you don't know anything about her, but you're sure her parents will stand by her. She says, I can't. My father's a dock worker. He never looked at another woman after my mother died 10 years ago. He'd kill me if I told him. Okay, I don't understand what him not going out on a date for 10 years after your mother died has to do with we're just going to have to roll with it. He
doesn't want his daughter to be a loosey-goosey.
A chef with the spaghetti specialty.
Yes, he doesn't want his daughter stirring that spaghetti sauce.
Oh, God. But wait a minute. Here's my father now. Please, I'm afraid, Lady Cop. Don't leave me alone with him. And she said, and Lady Cop's like, no, I won't. And the father says, Nina, what the heck? And Papa, I have something to tell you, something bad. And rather than waste, much needed dialogue balloons, we just see her whispering to him. You, my own daughter, my own flesh and blood, your mother was a saint. I mean, if you're going to go this far, just like, what are you, a whore? Just go for it. So Dad's about to rear back and is about to slug his own daughter, but Lady Cop gets in the way and takes it on the chin instead. And she says, listen, Nina isn't an animal to be whipped. She's the flesh and blood of your wife. What would your wife do if she were here? Would she drive her own daughter away? And that's enough to have Papa Dock Worker burst into tears and apologize to his daughter, saying, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. And the girl says, no, Papa, it's my fault. I don't think so, but that's okay.
It's great they had their little moment, but he just assaulted a public servant.
Yeah.
He committed a felony.
So many crimes have been committed with this comic book. I don't even know.
You're just going to let him walk? I don't understand this cop.
Yeah.
This is a bad cop.
Gracias. Gracias, thank you for reminding me. I am Nina's father. And Lady Cop says, take her to a doctor. He'll know what to do. It will be all right. The fire inside her will be put out. And Lady Cop... Lady Cop looks proudly on as they wander down the street. But wait, unexpectedly, that big guy with the chain who was following her on the rooftop before, there he is. And so he's going to whip her with the chain because he was friends with the people that she sent off to jail in the first part of the story. In the water they go, but it turns out he can't swim. Don't let me drown. I can't swim. And Lady Cop says, this chick can. So she's like, stop making waves. You're all right. You'll dry off in the police launch. So she saves his life and gets up into the boat. And then the other officer says, well, it looks like you've had a busy day. And Lady Cop says, oh, the usual. The next day, and this is good. She's wandering. She's on her beat, and I wonder if I'll ever find the killer in boots. And then it ends.
Wow.
So at the end, a gentleman knocks her into the river, immediately goes to prison.
Yes.
The other guy punches her in the face. He gets to walk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's life in the 1970s. Thank you very much. You've got your murder, you got your sexual assault, you got your sexual harassment, you got assault and battery. It's great. And I think that the guy who wrote this is a guy named Robert Kanigher, who is one of my favorite, and I say that in air quotes, comic book writers of the era, because stories like this, there was like kind of maybe an idea there, but his really warped view of women, even at the time, just made it just it's a wreck. It's what it is. And obviously, I guess VD was a big thing in the 1970s. It could have been, and maybe someone in Robert Kanigher's life, some underage girl had VD, and it upset him greatly, and so he decided, you know what we need? We need a comic book to educate the youth of today about the dangers of VD.
Wouldn't that be more fitting in a Night Nurse comic?
Totally. So that's Lady Cop, and you can see why it will never, ever, ever leave my collection. I'll keep this forever.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, Jackson Roykirk, at the end of the retro review, we're going to kind of swing back around to that. So we'll talk more about Lady Cop before this episode's over. But
whether you like it or not.
Yes, whether you like it or not. So a couple things. When Kanigher's writing this story, I just imagine him getting to this point and he's like, okay, she has to encounter some woman that's just in a dire circumstance. And he goes, VD.
I've got it.
I've got it. She has it.
Who's the killer? A rodeo clown? Who wears boots like that?
So
I think I know where to find this guy.
The way the story was running, or the way the story was written, at the part where Lady Cop, after 3 days, after she's making out with her boyfriend and thinking about her dead roommate, 3 days later, she sees the girl with VD. I was waiting for this story for Lady Cop to yell, "Hey, you girl with the VD, slow down."
I don't know. Was HIPAA a thing back then? I don't think HIPAA laws were strict. She could have gotten away with it, I imagine.
That's crazy.
They need to do a Lady Cop Night Nurse crossover event. DC and Marvel. All they do is run around killing VD and arresting boyfriends. Looking for the rodeo clown killer.
And maybe a crossover with romance books and a lot of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Oh
too.
yeah, a lot of
a
hulked out dudes with like long Fabio hair. Yeah.
And chains.
Oh yeah, for some reason
don't forget the chains.
Hitting people with chains.
Yeah.
It's amazing this series never took off.
Wow.
Yeah. It's no wonder. Is that a key? Is this the first appearance of Lady Cop?
This is the first appearance of Lady Cop. Believe it or not, we would not see Lady Cop for 31 more years. So Liza Warner is Lady Cop, and Liza Warner, aka Lady Cop, became a reoccurring character in the All New Adam comic book series in 2006.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No.
Well, that's something for you to chase now.
Wait, what?
It is the All New Adam series, and I don't have the actual issue numbers yet, but she's a reoccurring character in that series, and it started in 2006, I believe, 2005 or 2006. 2006.
Oh, thank God, I'm on the show now. I can.
Yeah, that's I'm in. Collector app. That's her only key is the issue 1.
Yeah, but like I said. We're going to kind of get back to something that happened in the Lady Cop story, but first we got to get through our other 2 retro review issues. I don't know how I'm going to top this one. Yeah, good luck on topping this one.
Dude, my crazy Dr. Fate story seems pretty normal compared to VD Lady Cop.
VD Lady
Hey, Warlord, you just missed probably the best retro review we've ever had on the show.
A little bit of science dibbled on top, medicine, health. A little bit of a PSA in case.
Yeah, we had a little health class in here.
All you teens growing up in the early 1970s were listening.
Well, if you think about the book that Fu read, you've got history, and now we've got the social, social studies.
Healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare.
If you've got a fire burning within, Warlord, read this comic.
The best part of the book of Lady Cop is towards the end, and she's like, "They'll help you put that fire out." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yep.
Oh my god! Is it that bad already? You just got diagnosed.
Oh my god!
Does VD Girl ever make a comeback in any issues? Like, do we find out was she cured?
I don't know.
I demand a follow-up.
Did her boyfriend continue to pass it on? Like, what was going on?
Which, by the way, is another felony if you've been diagnosed with it knowingly and you continue to transmit it. That's a felony. She didn't say anything about that.
Oh,
right.
God.
This is bad. She's a bad cop.
But she's
got a lot of fighting moves, but oh man. A guy punched her in the face and he's like, "Hey, you go right home."
I really hope there's glitter in her hand.
Is that glitter? Oh, I thought we were going to get a live glittering.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh. All right.
Oh, you guys, Jesus. Okay.
Who's next?
I'm next. If you could pull up number 8. So James is in the chat. James, are you named after the character Warlord? Because we're going to do his first appearance right now from first issue special, issue number 8.
This is like a terrible Star Wars thing. Hey, where do we start? Issue 8, number 1, first appearance. Like, what?
Yes. So essentially what you see on the cover here, when we go into the first page, a splash page, is essentially what you're just kind of getting again. And we're talking about, it's survival of the fittest for Travis Morgan. It's a nightmare. Where did this begin? Was it an hour ago, a day, a year? Well, he couldn't really say for certain in a world where time does not exist. A year of pleasure might seem but a fleeting moment, and a year of agony could be an eternity. So we're going to start our story on the next page, and we have Lieutenant Colonel Travis Morgan from the Air Force, and this is June 16th, 1969. He's 80,000 feet above Russia. And he's piloting here because he's been sent to take some photographs of a new installation that their satellite spotted over in Russia. He's wondering what the Russians are up to. And they say it must be something big if the Pentagon is risking this overflight. He doesn't even have a co-pilot because whereas co-pilot normally would be, they've got all this electronics for taking these pictures that they need to get. So, and he thinks to himself, what's the point? If it comes to nuclear war, who cares if Russians can kill the world's population 30 times and we can only kill it 25 times? But he's been spotted. And he gets his pictures done, and he knows it's time to get out of here, and you realize the jig is up because he has missile radar tracking him. And he's like, I gotta jam it. So he's like, uh-oh, too late, they've locked into me. I gotta get out of here fast. And he narrowly kind of avoids a collision as they start to catch up on him. And then he says, Maggie's drawers, comrade, you missed me.
Okay.
That's what it says, Maggie's drawers.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
Doesn't sound good.
So he says, uh-oh, I spoke too soon. The blast opened some of the seams and he has fuel leaking out like crazy. Well, he knows he's in trouble now because he's losing fuel and he can't just land in Russia. And he's looking to see where he can get. And he's like, there's an emergency support base in Alaska. I can take this shortcut route to a recovery base that's going to take him right over the North Pole. So he takes off as fast as he can. He's at Mach 3. He says, at Mach 3, I can make it there before his tanks run dry. But then as he approaches the top of the world, he's like, oh, my compass isn't going to function over the North Pole. I better stay on a straight course until it clears up. So a few minutes go by, and then all of a sudden he's like, he's trying to contact people on his and say, Mayday, Mayday, I need some help. But his signal's not getting out. His radio is dead. And he's like, so am I, because his fuel is gone. He's at 2,000 miles an hour, and he's just a glider at this point. He knows he has to ditch the aircraft. And he's like, if I ditch it in the Arctic Ocean, I don't stand a snowball's chance. But then through this break in the clouds, he sees land, and he's like, whoa. He's like, well, according to the computer guidance system, this should be the Yukon territory below. So I'm going. And he jumps out of the plane. He's like, good luck, plane. Hope you don't land on a person. And it's say, so long, sweetheart. He's heading for dry land. He makes a pretty rough landing down with his parachute. And even says that could have been a little bit softer. And then he's like, well, I'm in a jungle. He's like, well, wait a minute. This was after 6 o'clock when, I ditched the plane and the sun is directly overhead. And it even seems larger than before. And sun's still out at 6 o'clock. He's like, what the hell is going on here? What happened to the horizon? So once again, all the prelude as we get into another splash page here, and another splash page on the next page says that there is no horizon because Travis Morgan has been transferred into the land of fear. So he says, well, if this is Canada, Joe Namath wears pantyhose.
Oh my.
And one thing is for certain, he says, I can't stay here, wherever here is. And he's like, his survival vest, has a knife, a compass, a 38 special, and 12 rounds of ammo. And he starts walking. And through his training and discipline has taught him, to strive into the sweltering jungle in search of civilization. Well, he's walking for hours, and he comes upon a crystal stream. It gives him a little bit of relief from the hot noonday sun, even though it's after 6 o'clock. He's like, I can't figure this out. It's been hours and the sun is still directly overhead. At least there's plenty of fruit and water. It's a regular Garden of Eden. Then he hears a sound and he's like, what is that? He's like, it sounds like it's coming from the other side of these rocks. So he climbs the rocks and looks and sees this pterodactyl type dinosaur in search of prey. And he's found some prey in this jungle girl, and she's trying to defend herself, and he's just shocked at what he sees. And so he throws his sword down to try to stop the dinosaur, at least distract him, if only for an instant, so he can get there. And on the next page, he'll kind of slip through the rocks and the trees, and he'll come face to face, and he's wondering, what's it going to take to stop this thing? So he jumps in front of the jungle girl, and with his own bare hands and a knife, tries to kill this predator, and he tells the girl to run away. But instead, she gets up with her sword and she just jams her knife right into the predator bird. And he's like, well, thanks. That thing gave me a few bad moments. And he's like, what the devil kind of place is this? Dinosaurs and jungles? And then all of a sudden, the girl tries to reply, but he doesn't understand her. And she wants to get out of where they're at. And he's like, what's the hurry? There's no danger. This is dead. And all of a sudden, he realizes what's happened. They've been watched. And he realizes that this group of people, of warriors, appear bursting out from the clearing. And he's like, they must be after the girl. So he reaches for his gun and he shoots the two closest ones. And that kind of stops the rest of them because they're afraid of the gun and they don't exactly know what's going on. So then they kind of stop for a minute to regroup. He can figure out that one seems to be the leader because he's the one giving the orders, and they start to reattack again. He shoots him, and this time he's able to get the leader, but he only has one bullet left. They finally realize they're kind of outnumbered here, and these warriors want them to go with them. So this jungle girl and Travis Morgan, they go, even though the girl really wants no part of it. He says, hey, I know they're your enemies, but we don't have a choice. We're just going to have to go along for now. So they head with this band of warriors through a trek in the noonday sun until at last their destination is found. It's a towering walled city high above the tropical jungle. Once they get inside of there, they're taken to the leader. This barbarian girl is clinging tightly to Travis Morgan as they're escorted into the presence of a king, a small pompous individual whose real bearing is anything but regal. Standing beside him is a Demos, a high priest of the city of Thera. Thera is the name of the city that they're at. Demos has listened with displeasure to the tales of this demon who speaks with a voice of thunder. To test the power of a god is to tempt death, swift and horrible. So he kind of looks in his crystal ball, and a threat to one's position in court cannot be tolerated. So the power of the strange globe lashes out at Morgan, and this beam starts burning into his brain, and he's trying to block it out and to stop it. And finally, he takes his gun with the last bullet he has and shoots the thing, which breaks the crystal. And he's like, well, they don't know that that's my last gun. And he's almost kind of branded a hero as the other women kind of swoo around him, ready to stir the spaghetti sauce with him because he's a big macho tough guy there. And they take him back into a private room, and he's got his own chambers, and they bathe him. And the jungle girl's sitting there watching, and she I don't know if she's jealous but she's not happy that he's getting this attention. She's not happy that she's there. All in all, they fashion him a brand new costume to wear that they say is more suited to the occasion. And then they have a scrumptious feast prepared in his honor. But over the festivities... Yeah. Over the festivities, there's some sinister foreboding because we have Demos looking at him again. And then after the festivities, it's time, to sleep. He's in his chamber with the girl that he found out in the jungle, and they're exhausted. And all of a sudden, he wakes up for a minute, and he's like, what? I've got all this facial hair. How long have I been here? And they start to say that time is intangible here. You don't know what time it is, if it's time to eat, time to sleep, to work. And then the demon girl is looking at his watch, and she's asking what it is and what it's used for. And he's trying to explain that as he's using his sword as a razor to cut some of his facial hair off. So he's trying to communicate with her, and he finally understands that she's from a place called Skartaris. He's like, well, that's kind of a strange name. And he realizes that this jungle girl's name is Tara. And he's like, well, what were you doing in this jungle? And finally, she's kind of able to communicate with him. She says, I was with a hunting party that strayed too far from Shambhala, which is her homeland. And she's like, we were out in the mountains, and then the soldiers found us, and they sacrificed everyone else for their blood god. And she was the only one that had escaped. She says they call us savages, but the people do not sacrifice human lives to their gods. That priest, Demos, is a devil. She's like, but surely you know this if you are the god they say they are. And he's like, a god? He's like, I'm not a god, but I'm a man like any other. And he starts talking about what he's been working on, which is this cross-section of Earth, a hollow-like ball with openings on both sides of the North Pole and the South Pole. And he says, well, the reason that these are so huge is that when his plane entered the North Pole, he didn't notice the gradual curve of the Earth, and he thought he was over level ground. And your sun is a ball of flaming gas held by the exact center of the Earth by gravity, pulling on it equally on all sides. That's why there's never any night in Skataris. It's only perpetual daylight. And she's like, so you're saying you came from a world outside of Skataris and flew here in a thing called a plane? And he's like, yes. And she's like, you're crazy. And he's like, well, I'm beginning to think so. So overhead, unbeknownst to them, this conversation is being overheard by one of the chambermaids. And she runs back to tell Deimos exactly what she heard. So he's in the know. And Deimos wants to know, who else have you told, girl? And she's like, no one. I knew that I would be rewarded for bringing this news to you. If you want to just scroll down just a little bit. And he's like,
hey,
well,
guys,
yeah, you'll be...
I've got to get going. I'm sorry. Something just came up. Tony, can you
Okay.
take over for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me take over. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
What
Bye.
issue is yours, Lasso?
It's number 8.
8. All right. Let me pull this up here. All right, number 8. We're way down here. Blah 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 blah. Some stuff happened. Nobody
Okay,
got
go back up, go back
More stuff
right here.
happens.
Stop,
Yep,
stop,
right here.
go down one page.
Yep.
Okay. So she's saying to Deimos, I knew you would reward me. And he's like, yeah, you're going to get your reward. Drink this wine. So she does, and it turns her into a snake. So some reward, getting turned into a snake. And then while Morgan and Tara are sleeping, this panel door slides open into their chambers, and they're about to be killed. So Tara is the first one, and Morgan awakes and sees what's about to happen, and he's able to stop it. Tara jumps up with her animal-like instincts at that sound, and she starts fighting as well. And, they're kind of battling between each other. Finally, Tara comes up, and it says Tara fights in a grim silence. And then at the last moment, Warlord... he cuts him right in the throat and kills him, and this battle is over. And Morgan says, assassins, I smell the hand of a high priest in this. And she's like, it's Deimos. Then we are no longer safe here. Come with me, Morgan, and you will be welcome on my father's house. The way lies open to us. And then it says, beneath the unblinking orb of eternal noon, Travis Morgan, late of the world called Earth, and Tara, a warrior woman of Skataris, steal from the city of Thera and are swallowed by the jungle, bound for a distant land, bound for adventure. The beginning.
Very cool.
Yes, exactly. Where's a lady cop when you need her?
Where's a lady cop when? Yeah.
I think this is a little outside of her jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh my god. I love that Mike.
And what is Maggie's drawers?
We never did figure that out.
I wonder if it has something to do with the VD girl.
Maybe that's what she became.
Oh, that's too funny.
Take it away,
God.
Tony.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to do two things at once. I'm watching the Buffalo game here. There's only like a minute left. Looks like it's going into overtime, but that's okay. Issue 9, Dr. Fate and the Mummy That Time Forgot. This one is a little wacky for Dr. Fate, but in Dr. Fate world, it makes sense. So the Helmet of Anubis has alerted Kent Nelson to an upcoming tragedy at the museum. Just says the museum. So, okay. So I don't know where we are. So they open the mummy sarcophagus and it starts attacking people. So I would never have done that. I've seen too many movies. So Dr. Fate arrives. It's too late. The Egyptologists, I think is what they call them. They are dead. Dr. Fate says, you will listen to me. I'm servant of Anubis. He's your god too. Like, you have to stop. The mummy says, I don't serve Anubis. I have way more magic in than you. And I could feel the magic increase. They have this epic duel. Dr. Fate gets on the tail end of it, and he gets bested And here we have some of the best dialogue in this comic book by far. So Dr. Fate comes through a wall and says, "Hail, Inza, I have returned your husband to you." And the helmet falls off. Really, revealing that it's Kent Nelson. And he's returning. Yeah, I don't need this guy anymore. You can have him. We got beat up. So, if you could just fix him, that'd be great. So Inza is trying to heal Dr. Fate, talking about what happened and the mummy. And she's like, "Oh, the mummy. Like, yeah, that makes sense. There's, mummies have like a physical form and a spiritual form. So I think if we do like a coordinated attack on this mummy, we should be able to handle it." So Dr. Fate goes into his study to read more about this ancient mummy. And his name is something impossible to pronounce. Callias, the mad priest, who is the traitor of Anubis. So him and the god of Anubis didn't get along. So he's going to trap his soul within the will of something else that's impossible to pronounce. I don't know, something really hard. I can't even get to say it. Shakarid. Yeah, he's gonna keep his spirit in the Shakarid. I think that's how he would say it. So anyway, Dr. Fate goes in. He's like, okay, now I know at least, Dr. Fate, the ancient Egyptian, the god of Anubis who controls the helmet, isn't really going to have any effect here. So we have to look elsewhere. So the mummy strikes again, but Dr. Fate's there too. And he's just slinging power after power after power because he has all these ancient Egyptian gods and none of them are sticking. And the mummy escapes again, but this time Inza's there and he's like, "Listen, let's go to Egypt. Let's go find his physical form and attack him there too." And that's exactly what they do. They zip on over to Egypt, find his pyramid, hop in and start attacking it. But the mummy's there. I guess he was waiting for him. He has the amulet of what was it? Something I've heard of before. The name escapes me. Behold the claws of Anubis, and the amulet of I forget. It's in here somewhere. Oh, the amulet of Amun-Ra, which grants him his ability to kind of transcend time and do his own thing. And Dr. Fate's like, okay, if I can just get my hands on the amulet of Amun-Ra, I'll be good. I should be able to handle this dude, no problem. And that's exactly what he does. He finds the amulet, takes care of the mummy, and his wife is there to pick him up, like the good wife that she is. And they drive off into the sunset. And that's the abridged version of this story. So pretty cool.
Crazy.
Yes.
Anytime you bring in gods like that, my head just starts to ache.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. For me, it depends on what pantheon of gods. Like, I mean, there's Greeks, there's Romans, there's Egyptians, and they're so close to each other, but yet they all have different ones.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So, first issue special, let's see. Sarah, you said you only own issue 4, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And Tony, you only own issue 9, right?
Yep.
I don't own any of the issues.
Are you going to go buy the rest of them now, or have you?
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know. One of them isn't one of them called Dingbats of Danger Street?
Danger Street, yes.
Yes.
But now the only
Danger
thing going
Street
for
Dingbats.
that is that it's kind of a Jack Kirby
Okay.
gig. So if you're a Jack Kirby fan, it's kind of like necessary in the canon.
So this series kind of got a little bit of a revival more recently with Tom King. And there was a series called Danger Street. And I haven't read it, but you have, Sarah. So
yes, I got it because, and this is issue 4 of Danger Street, because Lady Cop is prominently featured in this. And here's a
she got an alternate cover.
Yeah, she got variant covers. So I had to have it. And
yes.
And actually, some of the covers are pretty cool. Like this Dr. Fate one.
That is pretty neat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a lovely cover. And this one Another character in it is the Creeper. And this is a Bill Sienkiewicz cover.
Oh,
which
nice.
I thought was really nice. So the covers are great. The problem I had is that the story, and look, this is the last issue, and it gathers all of the characters all together, and that's how many people you were following in this thing.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
It was too much for this tiny brained human. And I couldn't, and I like Tom King, but the writing in this was kind of flowery and overdone. And hello. Oh,
So
anyway, I take a pass. No.
Do they solve the murder?
They do not.
Is the murder mentioned again?
It is, and it's heartbreaking because in the first issue, when you meet Lady Cop, and throughout Lady Cop's story, she is a hero in this thing. She's smart. She's wonderful. Hello.
Daddy,
Hello.
turn off me.
Yeah. Tell her who's your favorite comic book character. Look,
Who do you love?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Me too.
Yeah, good job.
Yes.
Give her some extra allowance.
Exactly.
You like Wonder Woman's lasso and shield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say when you're Wonder Woman?
I'll fight bad guys.
Sounds good
Yeah?
to me.
What does Black Adam say?
He says no.
What does he say, Shazam?
Yeah.
Do you say Shazam sometimes?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Let's go.
Wonderful. So Lady Cop, they mention the murder, and it's actually kind of a running theme through her storyline here, where basically all the superhero, like Superman, doesn't show up, and one of the characters is always asking Lady Cop, well, why don't you just call Superman? And she has this marvelous bit where she was like, well, I called for him once. He never showed up. Basically kind of talking about the death of her roommates. So, and there is some mention of it. So I was hopeful that like the roommate stuff would get included, but not at all.
So we still have no resolve to this murder
None.
from 1975.
No,
Oh,
man
man.
with the man with those hip boots. Boots is at large. So, and I can't say that I recommend Danger Street because it's awfully convoluted for me. Like I say, I literally got to the point where every month it came out, I literally was like, don't care. Oh, Lady Cop, read it. Don't care. Lady Cop, I'd read it.
Uh-huh.
So
if she was a cop in the 70s, she's got to be retired by now.
Well, that's kind of the fun part of what Tom King did. He took all of the characters from all of the first issue specials and mushed it together into one big sprawling story where they are interconnected and they are, what one does has an effect on others. And so the good part of that is like all those characters are back. The bad part is, oh my God, there's so many of those characters.
Yeah.
And, not knowing a thing about Warlord, I'm like, okay, I knew who Metamorpho was. And I kind of knew the Creeper because the Creeper used to show up in Batman books. But, the Dingbats of Danger Street, no, thank you. The
Yeah,
Atlas.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but I hung in there just because of Lady Cop. So I have a complete set, and like I say, some of the covers are great, but the Lady Cop is like a real character in this, as opposed to this, which is a real character.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, well, it's been first issue special was an interesting ride, I guess.
Yeah. Now you can say you got a good taste at least.
Yes.
Yeah, now you know enough to be dangerous. Really dangerous about this.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I just anticipate, Sarah, on your channel that I'll see some Adam comic books coming up in the future, and
No
and
shit.
some.
Hell yeah! I did not know that Lady Cop lives elsewhere. So, oh yeah,
Apparently, she did. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. Cool. Well, at this point, we'll kind of do our book show portion and talk about what's going on with our channels and stuff. Why don't we start with our special guest, Silver Haired Bronze Age Babe? What's going on with your channel? Which, incidentally, if people are not subbed up to you, there is a link in the description for this video to sub up.
And I would be honored if you would. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of videos coming out these days. I seem to be in kind of a lull, but I am doing a lot of those shorts. So that's keeping me off the streets. Shall I go ahead with book show?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I have a pull list for the very first, besides Danger Street, Wonder Woman, and I really like this series. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome.
So yeah, I love the art in it, and I like it. Do you like this, Ryan? Are you a fan?
Yeah, I
of
do
it?
enjoy that. Yeah, I do. And I love that negative space cover there.
Yeah, whoever's doing all these covers, they are of a piece.
That's Daniel Samphir, who's the interior artist. He's doing the covers.
Cool. Yeah, his art is great in this.
Yeah.
I'm really,
he's
the
really
whole
good.
Thing. The only thing I wish is that, like, couldn't we have this every week or at least twice a month? Because And the only other thing I'll show, and I did mention this on my channel, but I look at this. This is a Neil Adams cover, the first Silver Age appearance of the Phantom Stranger, and I had this on my want list for a few years now, and I just wasn't finding it at a price I wanted, and so I can't remember if I finally signed up for Heritage Auctions, and I won a couple books on Heritage. I think this was eBay, but in any event, this was at a reasonable price I would pay, and it's a 4.0. My theory when I bought it was like, well, maybe I'll just probably crack it open, and because I have ratty keys that I so dearly love, and it's like, I want to read the book because I haven't. But then it showed up, and it's like, this is like really presentable 4.0.
That is nice.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to crack it out. And I did find a copy of the story online, so it's like, oh, I don't need to read that.
Yeah.
That's one of those where it's like, it's all about the cover, sister. So, so I'm. This is one of those books where it's like, damn it, I'm just going to get the book. And so this is my 2024 welcome to the new year present to myself.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah. So
very nice.
So that's what's keeping me in business here, comic book wise.
Awesome.
That Phantom Stranger is high on my list too. That exact issue.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I've been in the same boat as you. I've had my hands on a copy, and it's just like, you know what?
Yeah,
the price,
too
the
much
condition
money.
doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I was just like, you know what? Get over your sweet self. And part of it's like, I am tired of looking for this.
Well, then, like, the longer you go and you don't pick one up, it's just going to get further and further out of reach. Yeah,
exactly. And and actually, I think the blue of the CGC label goes with the blue.
Yeah, it does.
Good, right?
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It does.
So it's staying in its little.
I would recommend it. That's
okay.
A good
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Mr. King, what's going on with you? What's your book show tonight?
Book show. Honestly, I'm in the middle of doing some Green Lantern stuff, so I just grabbed the nearest Green Lantern book that I had signed near me. We have J.G. Jones' signature on Final Crisis issue 1 of 7.
Nice.
So very classic cover. And I just realized looking at this book, there's a lot of red in my room, and I don't know why. Just there's a whole lot of red. But coming up on my channel, I've got a couple things. I'm going to start talking about some of these bad boys that I've collected through the years. So I've got some of these we're going to talk about. I've got an upcoming room tour that I just finished filming along with some shorts. So content is coming.
Nice. Very cool.
Absolutely.
With my channel, regular videos, weekly edited videos will resume very soon. Could one happen this week? Maybe. It's a 50-50 right now. If I do drop something this week, it's going to be something very different that I've never done before. I kind of had an experience recently in purchasing a comic book that I think is worthy of sharing, if not just to warn the community.
Oh.
So, I might.
I was going to say, you already did your giant-sized man thing, so you shouldn't do it twice.
Okay, I showed my giant-sized man thing this week. Only 40-some people wanted to see it. That is not going to go to 100 views.
I saw it, and I gave it a thumbs up.
Yes, thank you. It's pretty nice, isn't it?
It's good. It's good.
If someone just popped in and didn't know you were talking about comic books.
I showed it. I threw it right out there.
You did. Just whipped it out.
I whipped out my giant-sized man thing and said, here it is. Let's talk about it. And not even 50 people. That's like, not even 50. I'm going to be lucky if that hits 50. It definitely ain't going to hit 100. I was so proud of it.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me tonight. You guys
what is going on in this world when you can't whip out your giant-sized man thing and get a bunch of views?
Something's wrong in the universe.
Something's wrong.
I know.
Oh,
I was disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in my giant-sized man thing. I was disappointed that
it was a great man.
No one wanted to see it.
So the reception was kind of soft.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Mm-hmm. Not a real hard reception, but
well, I'll try harder next time. And I'm going to go back to the proven formula. I'm going to show DC Comic tomorrow. And one DC character gets a brand new costume in the back issue of the week tomorrow on my channel. I better see around 100 views on this baby.
I'll watch it over and over again just to make sure.
Well, if you could show some people my giant-sized man thing, I'd appreciate it too.
I'll send it to everybody I know. Hey, look
please.
At the giant-sized man thing.
I mean, I'm only asking you to spend a minute out of your life to look at my giant-sized man thing. That's not asking too much.
Well, not even. If you do 30 seconds, you get 50.
It counts?
It counts. It counts.
You don't even have to get the full gist of everything that my giant-sized man thing can do. You just have to find out about 30 seconds of it.
If you just thumbs up the man thing, the algorithm loves that.
Yeah. So does the man thing.
Say, you got a great man thing. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Just look at it for just a little bit. Just look at it.
Well, it is a giant-sized man thing, so you could look at it for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, yeah, it's huge. It's not regular size.
It's giant size.
It's giant size. It even has its own logo.
It does. It does.
It does have its own logo.
Yes, it does.
And it is a key. It is a key.
And it's a key. I mean, Mr. Fantastic's in it because it's fantastic.
Fantastic giant-sized man thing?
Yeah.
Jeez. Boy.
So, I mean, I never want to say, because I am honestly, in all honesty, I'm very appreciative of my channel views and the people that watch my content and that I get to engage with. But you guys done let me down with my man thing. I thought this was hot in demand.
Well,
no one cares. It's just another man thing on the internet. That's what they say.
It's very true.
Swipe. Next.
Right, next.
Let's go to that Shebab channel and listen to some music.
Right.
Next. So,
man thing, schman thing.
What music goes with the giant-sized man thing?
Well, that's a good question. Wow.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of porn music that you can play over that.
I mean,
one has to give that some thought.
One does.
Just do it. Just make it. If the first if your first attempt at a giant size man thing fails, whip it out again, show it again. Just
because maybe some different people would be interested in it.
exactly.
Well, I don't think you teased enough about it. Like, you didn't.
There wasn't enough foreplay.
Exactly.
Well, I tried. Hey, at least I had the guts to show it. There's people on this YouTube that will not show their giant size man things.
No, that's true.
I can think of a
That's true.
lot of people. I will not. Because I don't have a giant size man. I can't show
Oh
it.
my.
I listen, I never got into man thing. Swamp thing, yes. Man thing.
No.
A swamp thing. Yeah, there you go. That would
That was last week's show.
yeah, that was last week's. We were showing swamp things and we were talking about
man things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting
Well,
couple of
what do
days.
I know? What do I know from man thing? I don't know.
Well, I don't want to forget I did pull a book show.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't
You got anything
I don't
else?
have any I don't have any first issue specials, but one of the characters we talked about tonight, I thought this was a cool cover.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that is a
look
cool
at that.
cover.
That's
All-Star
nice.
Squadron.
Yeah.
All-Star Squadron 47 with the origin of Dr. Fate. Pretty cool Dr. Fate cover, I thought.
That's nice.
Yeah. No man thing on that cover.
No.
Okay.
But that short is out there. If you guys want to get that short to 100 views, I would be ecstatic.
I will try and help you out on that. Give you a hand.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Watch out, Michigan. There's giant-sized man things coming to your inbox.
Congratulations, Detroit Lions. Here's a giant-sized man thing.
Oh. Thank you, Sarah, silver-haired Bronze Age
Oh,
babe, for
God.
another fantastic appearance on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. I'm thinking in March we'll probably have you back if that sounds good to you. Not to
Yeah,
put you on the spot. So
I've got some thoughts on what maybe we could talk about for Women's History Month.
awesome. I
No
think that would be great.
giant-sized man thing.
No
Yeah,
giant-sized man thing.
no giant-sized man things.
Yeah,
So
okay. Yeah.
cool.
I
Please
wish
sum
I
up.
could come up with something now that I can't. My brain is just slithering out of my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you shoot your load and you're just done. So, thank you for watching the greatest DC Comics show
They're
on
gonna kick
YouTube.
us off. They're gonna kick us off YouTube.
Guess whose channel's getting a copyright strike or a
Yeah.
community guideline strike?
Oh, community
It's-
guidelines.
Yes.
It's been fun
I
working
think
with you guys.
giant-sized man thing is copywritten. It does count, but I mean,
hmm
yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
And it's giant.
Very
yeah,
giant.
can't forget that's the most important part. Not average-sized man thing, giant-sized man.
Oh, Werewolf by Lunchtime. We're talking about my giant-sized man thing.
Oh, dude, you missed one. Oh, God.
You missed many in this show.
You missed.
We talked about VD and giant-sized man things
Mhm.
the entire show.
Yeah. And we talked about whose panties was that we talked about?
With
God.
Maggie, Margaret.
Maggie's panties.
Maggie's pants. I can't figure out how to make this.
Did they say Maggie's pants?
Yeah, it was Maggie, because poor Mike said good old Maggie.
Oh,
Yeah,
Maggie.
good old Maggie.
Maggie's drawers. It was
Maggie's
Maggie's
drawers.
drawers.
That's it.
That's what it was.
Oh,
So.
my God.
Well, join us next week if the censors will let us back on. And thank you again, Silver-Haired Bronze Age Babe. Thank you if you watched in the rewind, to everyone in the live chat and those who watched in the rewind all the way to the end. I think you're ready for us. to be
You
done
deserve
now.
a medal.
you,
if you did.
you deserve to move on to another video.
You're right.
Take care and have a fantastic, safe, successful, and healthy week. Bye.